MediGroup Physician Services presents MediGroup's Frank's Fast Five with Healthcare Executives, produced by Bridget Wilson and Carrie Peters. Today's guest is Mike Etheridge, President and Financial Consultant for Stauros Financial. Now here's your host, MediGroup's Frank Gillespie.
Hello and welcome to another edition of MediGroup's Frank's Fast Five with Healthcare Executives. Today we are sharing in some conversation with Mike Etheridge, President and Financial Consultant with Stauros Financial. Mike, welcome. It's been 2 years since I've seen you.
Hi, Frank. Yeah, the pandemic has certainly put a hold on meetings and things like that, but it's nice to be able to see you and meet with you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks for making the time for us today, Mike. Really
Absolutely.
do appreciate it. So, Mike, first question, when did you start Stauros Financial and how long have you worked with a team at MediGroup?
Sure. I've had a financial background for my entire professional life. And so I decided to enter the financial services industry in '05. And I joined a large firm, a large international firm known as UBS Financial. And I early on decided I wanted to be an advisor, not a broker. So I started my practice from an advisory standpoint, from a financial planning standpoint, and I've been doing it ever since 2005. So along the way, I decided in 2014 to transition to an independent model, and I took my practice independent. And what that means is it flip-flopped the entire dynamic. So instead of having the firm and then me and then the clients, by going independent and opening up my own practice, as you mentioned, Stauros Financial, now I have the client's best interests and then me as their CFO or their advisor, followed by the firm, which is there in a support relationship, a brokerage firm that's in a support relationship versus at the top. So that in a nutshell is why I decided to go independent in 2014. It provided flexibility, product independence, and also, more importantly, by flipping that paradigm, it provided trust that the client's best interests were first. So all along the way, you asked how long I've worked with MediGroup, and I started working with MediGroup in 2006. So they have been with me on that journey the entire time, and I've been helping them with their financial affairs and their 401k and employer plans and so forth since that time. It's been a wonderful relationship.
Fantastic. Well, that's great to know. And it's nice that the flexibility existed, that you were able to make that flip, and it's benefiting your clients for sure.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, Mike, question number two, in your role with Stauros Financial, what do you specifically do for Stauros and its customers? And you kind of touched on that a bit just a second ago into question one, but perhaps what types of financial products do you work with?
Well, that's a good question. I work with clients to do a number of things. So it ranges from growing their assets to protecting their assets. And I think of it in terms of more enhancing their financial lives and enhancing their assets so that they're working for them, regardless of what their goals may be. Their goals may be they're an entrepreneur and they want to work forever until they die, and that needs to fit in with that picture, all the way to people who want to retire early and want to live a nomadic lifestyle. Everybody's goals are different. And so I tailor through financial planning the process to fit the individual client's goals. And then for corporate clients like MediGroup, it's about making sure that they can deliver a framework that provides an attractive employee benefit, retention for employees, and moreover promotes their team environment by allowing their employees to thrive. So I think you asked what kind of financial products I work with.
Yes.
I am product agnostic, Frank. So that's one of the best parts about being an independent financial advisor, is that I no longer have a firm saying, hey, here is our products, here's the things we want you to focus on. I literally can run the gamut on anything that benefits my clients. So that can be the staples, such as stocks, bonds, exchange traded funds, mutual funds, individual asset ownership, so individual tailored portfolios, all the way to more of the corporate variety we talked about. So things like 401ks. I work with clients on an individual side with their IRAs. I work with trusts, et cetera. So for me, when it comes to product solutions, it's about finding the best in class and the best thing that is there for the client. And because I'm an advisor, not a broker or a stockbroker or somebody trying to sell something, I'm not paid to sell anything to anybody.
Gotcha.
And so that allows me the freedom to tailor solutions that fit the client's goals. And so really the universe is quite large as far as all the different types of financial products that I can use.
And I appreciate that. And it's nice to, again, have that flexibility, and you're custom designing things for your individual clients based on their scenario.
Absolutely.
And again, go ahead.
It's kind of like what I was saying earlier. It's about flipping that paradigm and putting the client's interest first, and then me as their CFO, and then going out to the rest of the world, financial world, from a brokerage, insurance, 401k standpoint, and then finding those solutions that meet the client's needs.
I mean, that's great to know too. And as I approach that retirement age, not thinking about retirement, but you do think in the grand scale of things, okay, what are the options going to be and what I need to do? And then there's so many different options out there. So to have an associate.
I don't know if a young guy like you, Frank, will ever need to retire.
Well, I do enjoy my job, so I hope to be here for quite a while yet. So great company.
Exactly.
Mike, we'll move into question 3. What are 3 key reasons why it's smart to contribute to an available 401k via your employer, such as MediGroup?
Sure. That's an excellent question, and one that many people ask themselves nowadays, because so many people are afforded these options through their employers for these plans. And here recently, through congressional action, there have been a number of features that have enhanced the ability of employers to offer those kinds of plans to employees. So why would they want to participate? Well, number one, in the way I look at it, a lot of people will jump to an employer match originally. Mm-hmm. But I actually look at the 401k as more from a standpoint of discipline. So by having a 401k and working for your employer and participating in that 401k and in that plan, it provides a disciplined framework for you to continue to save, continue to take a portion of your paycheck. And it's almost like the old Ronco set it and forget it, you know? Mm-hmm. So you set it and you start saving, and it's just on, and it continues as you continue your work with that employer. So it provides that disciplined framework, especially for folks who may be more of a procrastinator, and they may, be in that type of personality where they say, well, one day I'm going to start doing that. And then, before we know it, 5-10 years goes by and you haven't really saved anything. So 401ks are excellent in that regard, because they're provided as a benefit for an employer, and it's easy and accessible for a person to take advantage of that. So number one is discipline. The second reason someone would want to participate is 401ks and employer plans offer significant tax advantages. So whether you're contributing on a pre-tax basis or a post-tax basis, you'll hear of those known in terms of pre-tax will be traditional, and then post-tax will be more like the Roth option, where you're paying the taxes now, but then what's being accumulated in the plan is tax deferred, and when you take it out in retirement, it's tax free, and so any of the growth is tax free. So there's substantial tax benefits to taking advantage of an employer plan. So if I am someone who needs a tax benefit now or a tax break now, I can choose the pre-tax option, and what that will do is it will result in a higher paycheck for me now, because I'm not being taxed on some of that income that's coming out of my paycheck and going into the 401k plan. On the other hand, if I'm not struggling for income now, I may choose to do the Roth option, knowing that I can afford to pay the tax now because it's a smaller tax. And then as my money grows over time, it's a bigger amount that I'm not taxed on later. So there's a variety of different tax advantages that really make the 401k a wonderful tool. Then I get to number 3, which is typically what most people will say is the number one advantage, and that is the match. So a match is an unparalleled opportunity for people to, the way I like to think of it is it's a guaranteed return. Now, the word guarantee in the financial world is very loaded, right? So in other words, as a financial advisor, I cannot tell a client I can guarantee you anything, any type of return. However, with a match on a 401k, Frank, if you contribute $10 to your 401k and you're matched dollar for dollar up to a certain percentage, Your company might put $10 in your 401k to match your $10, okay, up to a limit. But if that's the case, who wouldn't, if I was to throw a $10 bill down on the ground and say, Frank, you can have that $10. All you've got to do is put a $10 bill down beside it. Who wouldn't do that? In my book, what kind of a return is that? That's a 100% return on your money.
Absolutely.
Right? So there is not a diversified stock strategy, a bond strategy, investment strategy, anything out there worth its trust that you could have in it that can tell you that from the moment you start, you have a 100% return on your investment. So the match is a huge incentive for employers to save. It really boosts or supercharges their savings. And my advice to my clients is if they're offered a match in their employer retirement plan, they would be foolish not to do everything they could to at least get the full match. And then above and beyond that, because of the other advantages I mentioned, I'm usually encouraging clients to even save more on top of that. But the match is a big deal. And then the fourth, those would be the top three. There's a fourth sort of sub benefit, and that's time. Okay, and so time in the savings and investment world is an enormous advantage. And many academic studies have shown this, Frank, which is if I start saving in my 20s, or if I start saving in my 50s, the amount I have to save in my 50s in order to retire is much, much higher than if I had started it in my 20s. Okay, so many employers nowadays with young people starting out in their 20s and in their 30s being offered 401ks and being able to get this match, what that does in conjunction with the discipline and the tax advantages is that it gives them that time, right? And so oftentimes I will see some young people who will say, oh, I can't contribute that now. I need money. And I tell them, I said, no, you need to get started now because time is on your side. Absolutely. And the magic of compounded rates of return over time. There's a slightly famous gentleman. His name is Warren Buffett. You may have heard his name before.
Indeed.
He is a proponent of compounded returns in time, and we can all see how that worked out for him.
No question.
So that's sort of a fourth and sub benefit to 401ks.
No, I appreciate that, and I think one of the things, as you said in the very beginning, that sums some of that up is, and what you just ended with, is get started. You have to get started. And, you know, I'm grateful. I look back in my career and I didn't know anything about 401ks, but I worked for a company called Daughters of Charity National Health System. And at the time it was mandated. We had to go to like 3 classes and basically learn what you just shared with our audience here. And that's what got me started. And thank God for that. So, get started.
Yeah, exactly. I might add just one more thing too, and
Sure.
that is that because the government through these plans is offering these tax advantages,
Yes.
they also that's the carrot. There's also a stick, which is you can't take the money out without penalties. Okay. Now there are certain types of scenarios where you can take the money out, such as medical hardship, buying a first home. There's several different exceptions that could be made, and you can borrow against the 401k, but that's another entire topic that probably outside the scope of this presentation. But anyway, the penalties in taking the money out encourage people to leave the money in, which goes back into that time piece. So a quick little story I'll tell you. A client of mine started saving in the 1970s. And at the time, mutual funds were a new thing, you know, and they were coming out, and the public was starting to become aware of those. And so he bought a couple of $1,000s in a mutual fund. The market then promptly went down because a lot of people don't realize in the 1970s, the economy wasn't so great. We had some market turmoil. And so this client sold that $2,000 investment for a loss, and then got so burned by it that decided never to go back in for about the next 2 decades. Okay. So in working with him after the fact, now this client's had a good success story and saved later, but in working with him after the fact and helping him understand what that $2,000, if he had just left it alone, what it might have grown to from 1970 until now,
It's amazing.
is eye-opening. It's
Absolutely.
huge.
It
And
is.
so what a 401k does, because of the natural built-in barriers to preventing you from taking the money, is that it affords people the opportunity not to panic. Right?
Absolutely.
Now they can still panic and blow it up, but it's back again to that number one thing, and that is the discipline. It provides discipline for when we're afraid, for when we think we're going to lose everything, and the key to success in savings and investments is discipline.
Stay the course. Yep, stay the course. Excellent, excellent, Mike. I really appreciate that. It resonates very well. And question number 4, Mike, what is one recommended savings philosophy that you would recommend to your clients? I mean, is there one golden rule perhaps, or it sounds like there's multiple golden rules, but is there one that really sticks out?
Sure. And it's kind of a 3-part answer. Everything's a 3-part answer these days, it seems like, and you can never have an even number, right? A 4-part answer. Everything's a 3-part answer. So I would say the golden rule, we've touched on it already, is to start early.
Yes.
Okay. So starting early is the key to starting early, Frank, is it's not necessarily how much you start with. So when I counsel and advise younger clients and younger people, even if they're not my client, and they say, well, I just can't afford anything, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. What I will tell them is I'll say, but you're going out and getting a coffee every other day. And when you add that up, you can see that, well, maybe $20 a week is not undoable. Okay. Sure. And so it's a modest amount. It's not going to lead to a successful retirement unless you start stepping it up over time. Sure. But just getting started at any level, even if it's $10 a week, $20 a week, or $20 a month, in some cases, just that act of getting started and staying with that plan. So that brings up the second part of that answer, which is having a plan and sticking to it. Too many times, it's easy to just sort of throw things at the wall and see what sticks, right? But I encourage people, have a plan, even if it's not a full-fledged, robust financial plan. So I'll put together a comprehensive financial plan for my clients. It can be much simpler than that, which is, hey, and this is where I want to be in 5 years. This is where I want to be in 10 years. I'm going to save $20 a week and stick to that plan. Okay. That is financial planning, even at its most basic level. And then the third thing, as part of the third part of that answer, is it's always important to make wise decisions. So what do I mean by that? I oftentimes will see people make decisions based on emotions, and emotions are our worst enemy when it comes to saving and investing, and particularly investing, because our emotions are wired to trip us up. And those run the gamut from fear to greed to just inherent behavioral biases that we all have. Like, I believe I can time the market. Nobody can time the market, yet people believe that they are going to be the ones who can get it right. So these are emotional decisions and biases that we have. And so what I encourage people to do is always think about making wise decisions. So I might give you an example. I want to, I have some bills I need to pay. I really want to take care of it now versus paying it over time. And so because it's easy to go raid my 401k and take that money and just wipe that bill out, I go that route, even though the penalties are going to end up costing me a 10% withdrawal penalty, plus I pay the taxes, plus the loss of the tax deferral. You can add these things up and see that for every dollar you take out, you may be paying a penalty of 30 to 50 cents on the dollar.
And spending more on doing that than paying the bill that you were trying to pay.
Correct. So that's not a wise decision. The wise decision may be, hey, can I get on a payment plan to take care of this? Can I get on a structured situation to deal with this? Can I restructure some other element of my life? Can I get on a budget? And, so these are areas where wise decision making is key to future well-being and future success. And that's usually what it boils down to when I'm helping clients is weighing the pros and cons, understanding the costs of decision making, whether it's not just investments, but it's decision making. Should I buy that house? Sure. Should I relocate to that state? Should I take this job or not take this job? Should I mortgage my house and invest the money, or should I pay off my mortgage and not, So there's so many different areas of financial planning that wise decision making can make all the difference.
No question about it. Again, another fabulous answer, and I resonates great. Okay, Mike, we've made it to that mark in the recording here. We're at that last question, and are you a Cardinals or Royals fan? And provided a Royals fan, which I suspect, why is it that when the Royals win, it's been described as a national holiday? Can you clear that up for us?
Oh boy, absolutely. Well, it might surprise you. My answer might surprise you.
Okay.
So I live in Kansas City.
Mhm.
I have to be a Royals fan because I live in Kansas City, but I'm actually born and bred and raised a Cardinals fan. And so I will always be a Cardinals fan. I spent a significant portion of my childhood in St. Louis. I spent a significant portion of my professional life living in St. Louis. I have family in St. Louis. And so when we moved to Kansas City, my joy of my life, my best and significant other, she also has a career. And earlier I alluded to the fact that there are benefits to being an independent financial professional.
Yes.
One of the drawbacks is that when your career motivated spouse gets an opportunity in a different city and you're independent, basically you're running your own practice and your own business.
Right.
I have to support her, and I can run my business from many different areas. So we came to Kansas City. And I'll never forget, I had twin sons who were in early middle high school. Mm-hmm. So it was a fairly disruptive move for them. And they asked me, they said, "Dad, do we have to stop being Cardinals fans?"
Oh, golly.
And I said, absolutely not. So we are still Cardinal fans in our household. I have a 3-pendant Cardinals light that kind of goes over a pool table.
Very nice.
My rec room in my basement.
Very nice.
We are Cardinals fans through and through. Now, that being said, I followed the Royals, and they're fun, and they won the World Series in 2015.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a big moment for Kansas City.
Sure.
But you asked the question, why is it that they are always behind the curve? Well, nobody can match the history and the pennants that are hanging up there in Cardinal Stadium, in Busch Stadium. They have the history, they have the pedigree, and the storied franchise, and those Royals, they're just the Johnny-come-latelys and so forth. But what I love most, Frank, is I love the I-70 series. So I always love it in the interleague play when the Cardinals and the Royals come together, and that is always a fun. Usually it's a little lopsided. Cardinals are usually better, but it's always a fun series. So I'm fun. I'm a little agnostic when it comes to the Royals. So.
Fair answer, and a good answer. Mike, I can't tell you, thank you so much. I mean, we talked before we started the recording, and it's been almost 2 years since we've seen each other, and you're a great hunting companion and friend, and the Lord willing, we're going to do that again this fall. So
that's right.
Look forward to
likewise, Frank, it has been my pleasure. I really appreciate you and the work you do for MediGroup.
Thank you.
One of the things you didn't ask me this, but one of the things I've always admired about MediGroup is that they have a similar focus that I have in my business, which is they are focused on their clients and serving their clients and always driving value to their clients. And they do it within a small structured team that is just a high performing team, that they work together, they play together, they enjoy each other. And that to me has always been an impressive thing about MediGroup. And when they added you to the team, you have just fit right into that mold. So Frank, I'm impressed by you as well. So.
Well, you're very kind, and I thank you. And your feelings about MediGroup are absolutely accurate. One of the best companies I've ever worked for, and great leadership. So, listen, Mike, take care, and thank you very much again for your time. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of months, and it was fun doing this today. Thanks again.
And my pleasure. Thank you, Frank.
Okay, take care. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been MediGroup's Frank's Fast 5 with Healthcare Executives, produced by Bridget Wilson and Carrie Peters, and hosted by Frank Gillespie. Special thanks to Mike Etheridge, President and Financial Consultant for Stauros Financial. This has been a presentation of MediGroup Physician Services.